Are you planning a trip to Rome? Well, whether it's your first time or you're returning for another espresso under the Italian sun, this video will show you exactly how to plan your next dream visit to Rome. We're going to cover everything from how to get to Rome, where to stay, best time to visit, how to get around, and even how to save money while you're there. And stick around to the end because we're going to share with you some insider travel hacks, things that we've learned that will sure to save you a ton of money and even a few mistakes that could ruin your trip.
Absolutely.
Hey, I'm Rick.
And I'm Andrea. Welcome to our channel, and we live here in Italy, and we love to share our local knowledge with you so you can have the best Italian vacation ever. So let's begin our video with our first topic, how to get to Rome. Let's start with the basic. How do you get actually to Rome? Most international travelers land at Fiumicino Airport, FCO, Rome main airport, that is located about 28 kilometers or 17 miles away from the city center. Once you land in Fiumicino, you'll have to make your way to the city center, and to do so, you have a few options. The first one is the Leonardo Express train. The train is the fastest and easiest option to get to downtown Rome. It's also quite comfortable. It only takes 32 minutes non-stop from the airport to Rome main train station, Roma Termini. The price for a one-way ticket at the time of recording is 14 euros per person. Also, there are some special mini-group rate of 40 euros per a group of 4 people. Tickets can be bought at the station, at the self-serve machine, or you can tap your phone at the dedicated machine. The trains run very frequently every 15 minutes, so there's no lack of train to go downtown. The second option, from the Fiumicino airport to the city center, is a taxi. From and to Fiumicino, taxis have a fixed rate of 55 euros at the time of recording. A taxi ride to the city center takes about 40 to 50 minutes or more, all depending on the traffic, and sometimes traffic in Rome is brutal. Taxi will take you directly to your hotel, making it very convenient to reach your final destination. Now, we have a third option to get from Fiumicino to Rome city center, and it's the shuttle bus. The cheapest one of the shuttle bus costs about 7 euro one way. Usually they have a few stops including the Vatican and the Termini station area. The shuttle bus can take about 45 to 90 minutes, and like the taxi, it will depending on the number of stops and the traffic around the route. Rome also has a smaller airport, Ciampino, that is mostly used by low-cost European airlines. You will land at this airport only if you're coming from another European city using a low-cost airline. From Ciampino to the city center, you can take the Airlink bus plus train combo. It's super cheap and costs about 2.70 € at the time of recording, but it takes about an hour. A direct shuttle bus to the terminal station for around 6 euros and it takes 35 minutes. Lastly, you can take a taxi to downtown for about 40 euros at the time of recording. Now, if you're coming to Rome via another Italian city, you'll probably arrive at Roma Termini train station, which is the main train station in Rome, and is located right in the middle of the city center. From there, you can hop on the metro or grab a short taxi ride to your hotel. And if you're visiting Rome from a cruise ship, you will be docking at Civitavecchia port, which is about 90 kilometers or 56 miles northwest of the city. From the port to the city center, you can take a local train for about 10,60 € one way at the time of recording. And we have made an entire video how to get to Rome from Civitavecchia. You can take a look up here.
Or from Civitavecchia to Rome,
Absolutely.
right?
Or lastly, you can take a private transfer and it costs 180 euros at the time of recording. Lastly, if you're doing a road trip in Italy, you will be driving to Rome. Well, we strongly suggest you not to drive in Rome if you can. Seriously, Rome traffic is insane. There's hardly any parking, and the historic city center has practically an entire restricting driving zone. In other words, driving in Rome would probably get you a ticket. So, if you have to drive to your hotel, park the car in a secure garage and forget about the car until you leave the city.
Okay, so that was all great. Now, how many days do you need to visit Rome? I mean, many viewers on this channel have asked us several times, how many days do I need in Rome? Well, Rome is a pretty big city, and the short answer, at least 3 full days. That's enough to see the highlights only, and even then, you're probably going to feel a little rushed. I mean, we live in Italy and we haven't seen it all. Now, if you can afford 4 or 5 days, I think that would probably be better, especially if it's your first time in the city. Either way, let's say you have 3 days in the city. Let's come up with an example itinerary. I think that would cover the most iconic spots, right? Now, if you have more, just split one of the days or two of the days in half or into 2 days. Okay, so on day one, spend it at the Vatican City, right? Visiting St. Peter's Basilica, the Vatican Museums, Sistine Chapel, and of course, Castel Sant'Angelo. Now, the Vatican Museums and the Sistine Chapel are probably going to be one of the busiest sites in Rome, and maybe even in all of Italy. For this reason, it is essential that you buy your tickets, your skip the line tickets, in advance for these sites. And here's a pro tip: you can even buy the skip the line guided tour of the Vatican museums. And it's important because that one includes the visit to St. Peter's Basilica. If you get this tour, you'll go to the basilica by the back door without having to go back outside and waiting in line again. And if you want to find out more about this tour, you can scan this QR code or we'll leave a link in the description for you. Now, on day two, you can visit the historic city center. That includes Piazza Navona, the Pantheon, the Trevi Fountain, the Spanish Steps, Piazza del Popolo, and the Pincho Terrace, of course, at sunset. And all these sites are within walking distance of each other. Now, I know that not everyone is going to like this idea, especially myself, but honestly, we've done this several times before, and we always found that it's best to start nice and early at the Trevi Fountain. Ideally, get there around 8 a.m. That way, the amount of tourists that's around is not going to be so crazy. And if it's in the summer, it's not going to be so hot. Yeah. Then on day three, I think it's time to focus on those big ancient Roman ruins, starting with the Colosseum and then maybe moving to the Forum and then to Palatine Hill. And then from there you can walk to the Capitoline Hill, where you'll find the Piazza del Campidoglio, which was designed by no other than Michelangelo. And then you can finish your tour at the Marcello Theater and maybe have some food in the Jewish ghetto. Now, on day one, you'll have already realized the Vatican museums are probably the busiest sites that you'll have ever seen in Italy. But you want to know the next busiest site? It's the Colosseum. Now, if you want to see inside, which I think everyone should do at least once, you of course need to get those skip the line tickets in advance because like the Vatican, it's probably going to be impossible to see it unless you bought those tickets first. And a little pro tip: you can even get a 2-for-1 with the Colosseum that includes the entrance to the Forum. Lastly, if you only have 1 day in Rome, maybe because it's a stop on a cruise, well, we've got a way for you to see so much of the sea, a lot of it, in just a few hours. You're not going to be going inside anywhere, but consider it a 1 day taste of Rome itinerary, right? And we made an entire video about it up here.
So let's move on to another very important aspect about planning a trip to Rome, and it's when to go. Now, choosing the best time to visit Rome is essential. Picking the wrong month to visit Rome is a big deal. Remember the first time you went to Rome?
Oh
You
my
didn't
God.
like it.
No, actually, I didn't even want to go back. I mean, turns out I just went in the wrong month.
Now, we love going to Rome at the right time of the year. So, when is the best time? In our opinion, the best time to visit Rome are April, at the end of May, and September to late October.
Mhm.
During those months, you will find comfortable temperature, smaller crowd, and best prices for hotel and flights.
Mhm.
Now, don't get us wrong, Rome will be always busy any time of the year, but during those months, will be a little less busy than the summer.
And a little more comfortable, I'd say.
Way more comfortable. Rome in summer, June, July, and August can be brutal. It's hot, humid, and packed with tourists, and very expensive.
Sweaty tourists.
Yes. So it's better to avoid visiting during those months. But if you can only visit in the summer, here's a few tips to make your trip a little better. First, get out and explore early in the morning. The earlier the better, to avoid the intense heat and the huge crowds. Keep the middle of the day for museums and churches and indoor activity, so you'll at least have some air conditioning and some shades. Last, stay hydrated, bring a hat to cover your head, and apply a lot of sunscreen because the sun is going to be
Mhm.
intense. Also, the winter can be chilly and rainy, but if you don't mind the cooler weather, it's a great time to see Rome with lesser crowds. And around Christmas, the city is all decorated with Christmas trees and lights and Christmas market that are really fun to visit as well. So,
Yep. No, I think this
worth
is
checking it out.
definitely. Now, let's check another very important aspect about planning a trip to Rome. And, well, it's where to stay, right? So, picking the right neighborhood, it's going to be really important on your trip. So, instead of searching for your hotel by star rating or price, think of the areas first. And here's a breakdown of the main areas to consider, starting with a Termini station. This area is budget friendly and super convenient, especially for trains and the metros, but it's not the prettiest or the quietest or the most central. Actually, the area around the Termini station can be a little rough, especially at night. But if you don't mind walking 10 or 15,000 steps a day, you can get to pretty much everywhere you need in the city from here on foot. Then we have the Monte and Colosseum area. This area is trendy, walkable, and close to ancient Rome. It's great as a mid-price option. It's also perfect if you want to be around the Colosseum and the Forum, and there you're going to find a wide range of hotels and B&Bs. That said, you're probably going to be taking a lot of taxis or public transit if you want to be visiting the other areas like the Vatican or the sites like the Trevi Fountain. Then you have the historic city center where you'll find attractions like the Pantheon, Piazza Navona, the Trevi Fountain. And this is going to be the perfect spot if you want to walk everywhere. But of course, it's going to be more expensive than the Termini area. Now, if you stay in this area, you're going to have plenty of options for restaurants, cafes, and bars, all just a few steps away from each other. And hotels are often in the charming old buildings that are 300 years old. But because of that, the rooms might be a little small and the layouts might be a little quirky. Then you've got the Borgo and Prati area for the Vatican. And this is an elegant and air and calm area, a mix of traditional and modern hotels. And it's perfect if you want to stay near the Vatican while still being close to the city center. Then we have the Spanish Steps and the Via Veneto area. This is home to Rome's most luxurious hotels, all of the marble lobbies, rooftop terraces, and of course, those five-star reviews. It's a perfect place if you want to treat yourself. Then we have Trastevere. This area is you'll find this right on the banks of the Tiber River. And back in the day, it used to be very poor and dangerous area, but today it is very chic and upcoming, and it has an amazing nightlife. It's also the perfect place to have some of the most authentic Roman food, but it can be very busy and a little noisy at night. Now, wherever you decide to stay, book early, especially during peak season. And we suggest picking refundable rates just in case something changes or you find a better option. Regardless, just remember that hotels in the good areas, they fill up fast.
Absolutely. Now, let's move to another aspect of planning a trip to Rome and we'll talk about how to get around Rome.
So how do you get around Rome?
Well, Rome is a city made for walking. You probably walk a lot, and actually, most attractions are just minutes apart from each other, and walking is the best way to see everything. Of course, there's also some good option to get around when you don't want to walk or if you're tired. First one is official taxis. Taxis are white with a meter and a taxi sign on top of the car. Avoid unlicensed drivers, especially around the terminal stations. Taxis are everywhere in Rome, and finding taxi stands in Rome is very, very easy. Next, you have the metro. The metro is cheap and reliable for longer trips. However, there are only two lines and it does not reach every area of the city. Also, the metro can be very busy inside. Then you have the up-on-up buses, which sound great, but in Rome they are not ideal. Many streets are very narrow or pedestrian only. So, the stops are often far away from the actual attraction themselves, which means you'll still end up walking a lot and not seeing anything.
And defeats the purpose, right?
Absolutely. Lastly, you have the golf cart. These are my favorite or our favorite way to visit Rome, especially if you want to see the city in a short amount of time, or you can't walk a lot. Golf cart can reach almost every area of the city allowing you to get as close as possible to almost every attraction in Rome. If you want to know more about
Yeah.
the golf cart tours, check out this video up here. We did it last year. It
Yeah.
was so much
Yeah.
fun.
All right, so let's move on to another aspect of planning a trip to Rome, and well, we should talk about what to avoid in Rome, right? So, what do you want to avoid when planning a trip to Rome? Well, start with don't flash your valuables. Rome is safe, but there are pickpockets, especially on the metro or in very busy areas. Also, you want to avoid the tourist traps, right? Near the big attractions. These are often expensive. They overcharge and underdeliver. And this is especially true in restaurants. If they have big flashy menus with a lot of photos of every single possible Italian dish under the sun, stay away. They're usually overpriced and not authentic at all. Actually, the best restaurants will have nobody outside and maybe just a tiny menu outside. Then skip those overpriced souvenir shops, right? Buy the local goods from the supermarkets, because they have usually decent prices and real Italian quality. And of course, skip the funny attractions like the wax museums or even actually the Leonardo da Vinci exhibit. It's not real, they're all replicas and they're just not worth visiting, right? They're not worth your time.
Now it's time to talk about another very important aspect of planning a trip to Rome, and we talk about what to pack.
Yeah, not everything.
No, not everything.
No.
Packing for Rome will depend on when you're going to visit. Remember, in the summer, Rome is very hot, but in the spring and in the fall, days are warm, but nights can be chilly. Winter can be quite cold as well, especially at night. So, you will need to pack accordingly. For the summer, light, breathable clothes are recommended. In the spring and in the fall, when you start visiting and exploring in the morning, it will be a little chilly, so you might need a jacket or a little sweater.
Mhm.
Around lunchtime, when the sun comes out, you can probably want to remove your sweater and you just walk around with your shirt or a polo.
Mhm.
April and October, especially at the beginning of the month, would be a bit too chilly to wear shorts, so consider bringing pants or jeans. Spring can be a little rainy as well, so don't forget to pack a raincoat and a small traveling umbrella. Will help you a lot. As we mentioned before, Rome is a city where you will be walking a lot, so bring sneakers or comfortable walking shoes that are very well broken in.
Yeah.
Please do not wear your brand new shoes in Rome, even if they're fashionable. Also, sandals, flip flops, or high heels are not recommended in Rome because most of the streets are very uneven and you will risk falling and hurting yourself.
Yeah,
So,
who wants
keep
to spend their holiday at the hospital?
absolutely. Also, don't forget to bring sunglasses and a small backpack. Lastly, if you're planning to visit churches like St. Peter's Basilica or the Pantheon, remember that you need to cover your shoulders and your knees. So that means wearing shirts and pants that are long enough.
Yeah, so be sure to bring something with you that at least it's that criteria. Now, let's move on to another aspect about planning a trip to Rome. And I think we also need to talk about the essential planning tips. So let's talk about some tips or some quick tips that'll help you optimize your trip to Rome. So start with take short guided tours, 2 to 3 hours maximum. A whole day guided tour might sound like a great idea, but let me tell you, after a couple hours, you're going to be tired and overwhelmed with information. You're not going to care anymore. You're not going to enjoy your tour anymore unless it's with a glass of wine. Trust us, we've made that mistake before.
Yep.
Also, you can opt for an Italian eSIM card for cheap data, and Italy has some of the cheapest rates for data on your cell phone. So there's no need to spend any money or big money roaming. And we've left a link in the description for a cheap and reliable eSIM provider that you can check out, and we've used them before as well. Also, skip the money exchange counters, and use ATMs from the local banks. Don't use the ATMs at the shops or the coffee shops. Also, your credit and debit cards, they'll work pretty much everywhere. So you won't need to bring a lot of cash with you. But if they do ask you if you want to pay in dollars or in euros, pick euros because you'll get a better rate. Oh, and there's also an exception to the cash, right? Uh, Bring a few coins with you, a euro and 50-cent coins for the public bathrooms, because finding a bathroom in Italy is, well, in Europe isn't really straightforward. Trust me, I know. And actually, it deserves its own video. Well, there you have it, your complete guide on
How
how
to
to.
plan a trip to Rome.
Exactly.
Rome is one of the most incredible cities in the world, full of history, beauty, and amazing food. With the right planning, you will enjoy every moment of your trip.
Yeah. Actually, I wish I watched this video before my first time in Rome. I mean, that was like back in 2004 or
That was a
something.
long time ago.
Yeah. But what about you? Are you planning a trip to Rome, or have you already visited Rome, and did we get it right? Or is there anything more to add? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, if you found the video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe, because it'll help others find this video. It supports the channel and you won't miss out on anything or our further deep dives on Italy. Well, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao.